All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little Golden State Warrior video. Check out Pig and a Pickle, 2 locations, Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in Marin. They're open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., and they're open Wednesday through Sunday in Emeryville, inside the Emeryville Public Marketplace. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. All right, let's talk a little bit about Lester Quinones. He has been the Summer League standout for the Golden State Warriors. He's a Dominican-born professional basketball player for the Warriors. He's on a 2-way contract last year with the Santa Cruz Warriors in the G League. Born November 16th of 2000, went to St. Benedict's Prep School and played a postgraduate season at the IMG Academy. And he was an all AAC all freshman nominee in 2020. I really like this guy. He had 26 in the summer league opener, and I really love what I'm seeing from Lester Quinones. Let's talk a little bit about him. One of the best shooters from the American Athletic Conference, and he's had back-to-back. He really had. If you looked at him in college, he had back-to-back successful seasons at Memphis following his all-freshman honors in 2019. As a junior, he averaged 10 points, 3 rebounds, 1.3 assists, 1.2 steals, 1.4 turnovers, and he shot 45% from the field, 39% from 3, 75% from the line. He's a 6'5" 2-guard, and he's a 3-and-D kind of a player. But there's a lot to like. Now, he's a below the rim guy. He's not the greatest. He's not like one of the world's greatest athletes. I would say in the grand scheme of NBA athletes, he's probably beyond, slightly less than middle of the road. But, and at times as a younger player, we saw him play a little bit out of control when he's trying to create for others. And he's much better scoring off a pass than off the dribble. He's not a great playmaker, but man, this guy's a shooter, and he really is something. He's also an excellent defender. He's tough to shake. But as a shooter, he's a projectable shooter. He's got a quick release on his jumper, and he releases it high, so it's a hard shot to block. And he's got really good footwork to get squared to the basket. So, some guys have a hard time with their footwork getting those shoulders square. This guy's got the right footwork, and he can get square up on the basket almost at will. And he's got pretty good strength, and he can stay in front of, the slashers that live on the wings in the NBA. And maybe the biggest key for a guy like Quinones is that, in Steve Kerr's offense, they rely on ball movement and body movement, and you have to play well off the ball. Now, what does that mean? That means when the ball's not in your hands, you just can't be camped out on the perimeter in a corner. You got to understand how to work to get open. You have to understand how to keep the floor spaced correctly. Moving well off the ball shows basketball IQ. This guy's got it. He can play well off the basketball, which is key because he's a tremendous spot-up shooter. And he's getting better creating off the dribble, but man, he can flat out shoot it if you can find him squared up to the hoop from beyond the arc. I mean, that thing's down. He's got really good shooting ability, even when he's off balance. He doesn't take a lot of risks as a passer. He's not a spectacular passer, but he doesn't take a lot of risks with the basketball. And, he definitely uses his jump shot to open up the extra pass to the open shooter. There's a lot to like here, really. I mean, he can get into his shot motion at an elite speed, so he can come flying off screens. And he can defend multiple positions. He can defend 2s and 3s and maybe even 4s. So he's got to develop his handle a little bit. He's got to play a little bit more composed. He's not going to create a ton for others or score off the dribble. He's a 3-and-D guy, but he's got some ball skills. And man, if you watch Quinones, this guy's a sleeper. He can make an NBA roster. This guy's, I see, he's similar to me to the guy who played at Louisville, Jordan Nwora. He's got a little bit of Dylan Brooks to him. He's a 3-and-D wing that, can attack closeouts. His I just think that when you look at his shot and his improvement offensively, there's a lot of improvement there. But man, 3-and-D player, 6'5", plays longer than that because he's got long arms, and he could find a role as a 3-and-D wing who plays really good defense on the ball. And I just see upside in his game. He's a better ball handler than he was a year ago. He's better at scoring off the dribble than he used to be. He's got the ability to attack closeouts, and he's got a very, very fast release. So he doesn't need a big amount of space to get open, and he squares those shoulders. It's kind of uncanny the way he can square up his shoulders, and the combination of the footwork to square up, the quick release on the shot. This guy's a 3-and-D player who might be a guy who can play for the Warriors this year off the bench. So I really like him. I really like him a lot. I think this is a guy that, if you look at his numbers, he shoots it really well in the middle of the floor and like on the offensive left side facing the bucket, 44% from three. If you looked at his numbers last year, 15 of 34 from that side of the floor. And then he can knock down the mid-range. He makes a high percentage at the mid-range. Good free throw shooter. Overall, you're talking about a guy who can really shoot the ball and close out. He's a 3-and-D guy. But he's a 3-and-D guy who's improving, and he knows the Warriors culture. They're looking for minimum players and players on the cheap that can come in and make an impact and make the roster. This guy can defend multiple positions, as I said. There's a lot to like there. And he's had a really nice summer league. If you look at what he's done so far, he's a consistent scorer. He knows how to score. He's scoring from a variety of different ways. And he's just a very impressive young player. So, he had a great fast break dunk against the Hornets the other night in Sacramento. And he's a nice young player, and he's got a lot more upside than people think. I mean, nobody really thinks that, Quinones is going to be a superstar, but I'm just talking about a guy who can make the roster and be maybe in a rotation. There's a lot to like, and he's improving his game, and he doesn't cost very much, and he's been having a really good summer league. So I've been studying Podziemski, looking for a lot for Podziemski, and Podziemski's look pretty good, but it's hard not to watch the Warriors, and it's hard to watch the Warriors and not notice Luis Quinones, or Lester Quinones, I should say. Really, really nice player, and the kind of player that I think could get just good enough where you're like, wait a second, this guy's playing a role off the bench for Steve Kerr. So remember the name Lester Quinones. Dominican player who looks like he's much improved from last year to this year, and the sky's the limit. Who knows how far he can take it? But so far, to me, Lester Quinones has been the guy that has stood out in Warriors Summer League thus far. All right, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of The Krug Show. Thanks to all you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.